I should have known that night would change everything. The way Abdul looked at me, like a man drowning, clutching at anything to keep himself afloat. I had seen that look before, but never like this. Never with so much fear. We had struggled for 7 years of prayers, tears, and empty plates. 7 years of whispered insults from neighbours and my mother-in-law's sharp tongue, reminding me that a woman without a child is a tree without fruit, but hunger makes even the strongest tree bend. And tonight, Abdul was asking me to break. Oh, it is a break. Aisha, as if he was ashamed to hear himself say it. Please, just one night. After that, we will never suffer again. I stared at him, my chest tightening. You are my husband. How can you ask this of me? His face twisted. Do you think I want this? Do you think I haven't fought? But we have nothing, Aisha. Nothing. No food, no hope, no future. This contract is the only way out. The contract. That cursed contract. Abdul had been chasing it for months, hoping it would pull us out of the pit of poverty. But now it came with a price he expected me to pay. I shook my head. I can't. I won't. Abdul covered his face with his hands. Then we lose everything. Everything. The weight of that word sat on my chest like a stone. I thought of the landlord's threats, the empty pots in the kitchen, the shame of being called barren, 7 years of suffering, 7 years of waiting for a miracle. And now the only miracle within reach demanded a sacrifice I wasn't willing to make. But as I looked at Abdul, my Abdul, with his hollow cheeks and trembling hands, I felt something shift inside me. What was left of us to protect? And so that night, I made the choice that would destroy everything. The morning after felt like waking up inside a nightmare. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of what I had done pressing down on my chest. The air in the room was thick, suffocating, and beside me, Abdul sat hunched over, his elbows resting on his knees. He had barely looked at me since I returned. Did you get the contract? My voice was hoarse, barely above a whisper. He didn't answer at first. He just exhaled, rubbing his face like a man trying to wipe away guilt. Then, finally, he nodded. Yes, he muttered. Something inside me cracked. After everything, I expected to feel relief, maybe even victory, but all I felt was emptiness. Abdul stood up suddenly. I need to go to the office. There are documents to sign. That's it? I asked, my voice sharper than I intended. You begged me, you cried, and now you can't even look at me. His jaw clenched. What do you want me to say, Aisha? I sat up, wrapping my arms around myself. I don't know. Maybe that it wasn't worth it, that we made a mistake. Abdul turned away, staring at the door like he couldn't wait to escape. We did what we had to do, but there was no we in this. It was me, my body, my shame, my sacrifice. I watched him leave without another word. As the door slammed shut, I swallowed the lump in my throat. I told myself this was for the best, that soon the pain would fade and our new life would begin. But deep down, I knew the truth. Something between us had broken, and I wasn't sure if it could ever be fixed. I moved, but the wound remained. At first, I told myself things would get better. Abdul became a new man, his pockets full, his shoulders squared with confidence. The house that once echoed with the sounds of hunger and whispered prayers now smelled of wealth. New furniture, new clothes, even a new car parked outside. But inside me, a different kind of change was happening. It started with nausea, a wave of sickness that hit me in the mornings and left me weak. I ignored it at first, blaming stress, but then the dizziness came, then the cravings, then the realization. I was pregnant. I held the test strip in my trembling hands, staring at the 2 bold lines. My heart pounded. After 7 years, after endless nights of crying, of wishing, of wondering if I was cursed, here it was. A child. Tears filled my eyes, but they weren't just from joy. They were from fear. I waited until Abdul came home that night. He walked in, his phone in hand, his laughter loud. A man who had forgotten what suffering felt like. I swallowed hard. Abdul, I need to tell you something. He barely glanced at me, still smiling at whatever was on his phone. Can it wait? I just got back. No, I said firmly, it can't. Something in my tone made him look up. I took a deep breath, my hands protectively resting on my stomach. I'm pregnant. The room went silent. Abdul's smile disappeared, his face frozen. He stared at me like I had spoken a foreign language. Then slowly he set his phone down. Pregnant? He repeated, his voice tight. I nodded. Yes. His jaw clenched, his hands curling into fists. How could you let this happen? I blinked. What do you mean? You should have been careful. His voice rose. I begged you to do this for us, but I never told you to get pregnant. I felt something snap inside me, a rage so deep, so blinding, it stole my breath. For 7 years, I endured shame, insults, whispers about my barrenness. Your mother cursed me, society mocked me, but just once, a real man touched me and I conceived. What does that say about you? Abdul's face twisted in fury, his breath heavy. Aisha, don't. But it was too late. The house that had once been silent was now a battlefield, and there was no going back. Abdul didn't sleep at home that night. When he finally returned the next morning, his face was hard, his eyes hollow. I had stayed up waiting, my mind replaying our fight over and over, but nothing prepared me for what he said next. Aisha, I can't do this, he said, his voice emotionless. I felt my stomach twist. Can't do what? He swallowed, his gaze shifting to my stomach for a brief second before he looked away. This child, I can't accept it. The words hit like a slap. What do you mean? You know exactly what I mean, he said, his voice sharp. I begged you to do that thing for us, but this wasn't part of the deal. I laughed bitterly. Oh, so now there were rules? You pushed me into that man's bed like a sacrificial lamb, and now you want to dictate the consequences? Abdul's fists clenched. I did it for us! I stood up, my whole body shaking. For us, Abdul, you did it for yourself. You were drowning, and instead of fighting, you threw me in to save yourself. Silence. Then his voice came out cold, final. I don't want this child, Aisha. Something inside me shattered. You don't want the child, I repeated, my voice hollow. So what now? Abdul exhaled. I think we should end this. I stared at him, waiting for him to take it back, to say something, anything that would make this moment less cruel. But he just stood there, his silence the final nail in the coffin of our marriage. I felt a tear slide down my cheek, but I quickly wiped it away. I had sacrificed everything, my dignity, my peace, my body, all for a man who now looked at me like I was nothing. I straightened my back. Fine, I said. Then it's over. And just like that, the 7 years of struggle, love and sacrifice ended in a single breath. I left Abdul's house with nothing but the clothes on my back and a child growing inside me. There was no begging, no second chances. He didn't try to stop me. I didn't turn back. 7 years of marriage ended at the doorstep of the home we once built together. At first, I thought regret would consume me. I waited for the shame to crush me, for the whispers of society to bury me alive. But something strange happened. Peace. A painful, heavy peace, but peace nonetheless. I moved into a small apartment far from the life I once knew. The money Abdul had once fought so hard to gain? It couldn't buy him happiness. I heard whispers that things were crumbling for him. Business struggles, betrayals, lawsuits. The wealth he sacrificed me for was slipping through his fingers like sand. As for me, I survived. Pregnancy wasn't easy. There were nights I cried myself to sleep, mourning the woman I used to be. But when my son was finally born, the moment I held him in my arms, I knew I had made the right choice. He was innocent. He had no part in the sins of his parents. He was mine. Years passed. I built a life. I worked hard, started a business, made something of myself. People whispered, of course. They always would. A woman who lost everything because she followed a man's foolish desires? A cautionary tale. But I took those whispers and turned them into a voice of my own. I spoke to women, taught them, warned them. I told them my story, not to shame myself, but to save them. Don't lose yourself for any man, I would say. Not for love, not for marriage, not for money, because at the end of the day, you'll be the one left picking up the pieces. And as I watched my son grow, I knew one thing for certain. I would never let him become a man like his father.